Unlock Your Soul Radio with your host, Lorraine White.
Hello and welcome to Unlock Your Soul radio show. I am your host, Lorraine White. I am a life strategist and an intuitive, connecting you to your soul to find clarity and direction in your life. Happy Thursday, everyone. I really hope that you have enjoyed the last week, the last 7 days. Hope it's been fruitful and productive for you. Today, we are going to be exploring the misconceptions of spirituality, especially amongst my community, people of color. Today, my special guest is Katherine Hilaire, who is an intuitive wellness coach, author, and teacher. Katherine was born and raised in New York City of African and Native American heritage. She was inspired at a very young age by the profound spiritual traditions of her ancestors, which led to her working with energy. Now, let's welcome Katherine to the show. Hello, Katherine. Welcome to the show.
Well, hello. Can you hear me?
How are you, Katherine?
Oh, I'm just fine, and thank you so much for that lovely, warm introduction, and thank you for inviting me to your show.
That's okay. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. So, Katherine, our topic today, our subject area is we are going to be exploring the misconceptions of spirituality, especially amongst our community. And you are an energy healer, you're an intuitive, you do intuitive readings, you're a spiritual teacher. And I really wanted to understand, what does spirituality mean to you?
Well, to start off with, the energy is so strong it knocked out the connection.
Yeah.
No, but quite seriously, to me, spirituality is essentially a connection to something even bigger, even greater than ourselves. It's an interconnectedness with all that is, and an exploration of into the meaning of life.
Mm.
I once met a Kemetic priest who was asked the question, what is your religion? And he said, well, inhale, and the person inhaled, and exhale. And he said, that's my religion, that's life. And to me, that sort of epitomizes spirituality, that connection with something even greater than ourselves.
Mm. Wow. And I know, Katherine, we had all of these technical problems, but I know we were going to start with an evocation that you wanted to do. And I'm just thinking, as you saying that breathing in and breathing out, that is life, that is spirituality. I know that what the exercise that you wanted to do to start the show was going to embody that. And I'm just wondering if we could actually start the show with that.
Certainly. If everyone could just please repeat after me. It's sky above me.
Sky above me.
Earth below me.
Earth below me.
Wind around me.
Wind around me.
Fire within me.
Fire within me.
Spirit guide me.
Spirit guide me.
Now please deeply inhale. And exhale. How does that feel?
It feels lovely. So we are now ready.
Yes.
To start the show, feeling connected and, in tune.
Yes.
Lovely. And so have you always been in touch with your spirituality, Katherine?
Oh, yes. I always felt that there was more to life than what meets the eye, quite literally, more than just the material world. And, my grandfather died when I was little, and after his funeral, I remember feeling his presence around me. It felt like a cloud or a mist. And at first I was a little afraid, a little wary, but then I heard his voice saying, it's me, Grandpa. And I just relaxed and sort of hung out with him, wherever that was.
Yeah.
So that's my earliest memory, and I was quite small at that time. So I think that might have kicked things off a bit.
Yeah. Were you not scared at all, or feeling that, I don't know, this could be something, I don't know, frightening, or how did you feel?
Well, a little
did you
afraid,
believe
a little
it was
wary, because it was so new, and I hadn't experienced that before, so I didn't know what's happening there. And but when I heard his voice, and I felt his spirit, obviously, I felt that as well as seeing that mist or cloud, I totally relaxed, and I knew that it was him, someone I loved, and he was sending me love.
Mm-hmm. I know, because when I was asking the question, I wanted to say, did it feel scary in terms of dark scary? Because I know that coming from a religious background, anything that is of that nature is dark. Did you have that kind of inclination yourself, kind of growing up in the Quaker faith?
No. The Quakers, or the Friends as they're called, suited me very well, because there were three tenets, I think, that they taught. One, that there's a direct line to the divine. They taught us that there was an affirmation, there's that of God in every man, that in every one there is this divine spark. And since they worship in silence, it was an early intro to a form of meditation for me. So although I must confess that at the time I didn't quite see it that way, I probably most appreciated the tea and cookies we had after the service was over. But that did give me a basis. So it was not a fearful thing. It's just like anything that's unknown. Initially, you may feel a bit of trepidation, or it might be too strong a word, or wariness. But when you relax into it and trust, that's what makes everything flow.
Yeah.
My paternal grandmother was a metaphysician, and unfortunately I only knew her as a child. She had me and my brother memorize the 23rd Psalm and the Lord's Prayer when we were 3 and 4 years old.
Wow.
But what was fascinating about her was that in the 1920s she actually earned a living giving readings to women in her neighborhood using a regular deck of playing cards and later tarot. And in fact, after she passed, my father gave me one of her old business cards. Can you imagine? Business cards. Who knew, But my family was reluctant to talk about it,
Right.
Just as when I told my mother about my grandpa experience, she said it was a dream. So sort of early on I got the message that this wasn't something to discuss openly. And perhaps that's one reason that sensitive children often shut down their intuitive gifts when family, teachers, ministers, society, whatever, subtly discount, dismiss, or sometimes actively discourage the children's psychic experiences.
Mm-hmm. Because it is, do you think it is because that they perceive it as something dark, or what's your take on that?
I think there is a feeling that it might be something negative, or at the very least weird. I remember that one childhood friend spoke about seeing little green men, and she was harshly ridiculed by family and friends. So I clammed up about my grandpa. And I think that, like many other people, I would have come out of the quote psychic closet sooner than I had, had I not been taught to conform. And the misconceptions that many people, especially people of color, have, I think, are based on, first, one misconception is that there's the confusion that spirituality is a religion, that it equals religion. And there is a difference. That mention of the Kemetic priest, as I said earlier, was, I think, a good example of that. religion, we talk about organized religion or institutionalized religion, but spirituality is different. It's not confined in that way. It never has been, never could be.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, how I view spirituality is as a lifestyle, actually. It's a way of life rather than it being a religion or a kind of a cult or following, or, it's a way of life.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know that my heritage is African and Native American, as you mentioned to the listeners, and there's a very ancient and rich spiritual tradition there that I draw upon. So I could offer this example that in the Nile Valley civilizations, for example, there was no separation between one's daily life and one's spirituality. The spiritual penetrated every aspect of daily living. It wasn't reserved for only one exclusive day, time, or place.
Yeah.
Even though it's kind of labeled that way, as it's labeled as a religion in modern textbooks, but it was not.
Yeah, I get that. One of the reasons why I was really wanted to do this show, actually, is because from my own experience, sort of having being forsaken, if you want to call it, actually, by my family, who perceived me as a witch because I had this spiritual way of being, let's say. And I was intrigued to know, from your experience of wisdom, where do you think that comes from in terms of within our community? Because I come across it quite a lot, whereby, I say that I'm spiritual, and it's like, oh my gosh, she's doing voodoo or obia or something of that sort. Where do you think that comes from, Katherine?
Well, there are many moving parts to answer that question, but one aspect is certainly rooted in our history. And when I say history, I mean more contemporary history as opposed to ancient history. So when we talk about the period of global colonization of people of color, whether in the Americas, Africa, the Caribbean, Asia, or the Pacific Islands, there was a pattern of enforcing indigenous people to sort of reject their own belief systems. And these systems were branded as heathen or ungodly, certainly inferior to the power group's own. And I think that over time, practices such as connecting with ancestors, having visions, hearing voices, working with the elements, just to name a very few, were thought of as uncivilized, primitive, only for low focus, scary, evil in some way. And I think that over time, fast forward, 5 centuries or so, the sense of being worthy or being at least correct, being educated, was equated with measuring up to someone else's standard or definition or version of divinity and what divinity is and is all about. So, in other words, those roots that great-grandma used were somehow embarrassing, or those little stones that she wore around her neck in a pouch were silly and superstitious, and many turned their backs upon things that they themselves began to judge as being unacceptable, and just embraced what the colonizers said was the way, the one and only way. And of course, don't misunderstand, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with anybody's religion. I'm just saying that in terms of this historical context, I feel that it's led to a kind of dismissal, discomfort, or flat-out avoidance that many people have of color about other stuff,
Yeah, because that really resonates with me in terms of what you're saying, because what I get from that as well, it's almost like we were empowered and strong, and it's almost like we have given that power away. Well, I do, of course, agree with that, and it's amazing what happens is not only is the power given away,
And the ancient Kemites had a word for it, hekal, or words of power. So the power of words is extremely important. But anyway, not only has it been given away, but it's been sort of repurposed, or let me just say even distorted, borrowed, what other words could I use, and then sold back, repackaged. That's the word I was thinking of, repackaged in a sense, and then, kind of sold back to the public. For example, everybody wears great-grandma's little stones. Today we call them crystals, right? Crystal earrings, crystal bracelets, Grandma's roots are part of herbal medicine now, which is $1 billion industry. So maybe great-grandma gets the last laugh after all, But,
sorry.
It's hard to, and that's just one kind of historical perspective that I feel. There are other parts to it, but we could go so much further if we had a grounding, I think, in and certainly in our understanding that this is not devil worship or evil or, the scary stuff. And, of course, because it's so powerful, why would you want to empower people who have been colonized? You would want to take away their power, not allow them their power. The drums were taken away from our ancestors, certainly in this country,
Right.
The Africans.
Right.
So.
Wow. And so how do we now move forward, Katherine, in terms of us now in the 21st century? Because I know there are many of us who are focused on researching our history. But for me, I see that the way forward is to really get in tune with our spirituality as a means of evolving. How does that sit with you?
Well, yes, that I do feel that is the way, that is the doorway. But people who are not keen on even considering spirituality can just look at science. They can just look at modern science. I'm very fond of saying that modern science is finally catching up to our ancestors' teachings. because, the quantum physics, for example, has shown us that everything is in fact energy. Einstein said the same thing. And when we drill down to the tiniest nanoparticle, and something even smaller than nanoparticles, I think they're called wavicles now. It's wave or particle combined, wavicles. It's light, it's a photon, it's energy. So the more the more deeply we look, the more we see the interconnectedness of everything, which is spirituality. And my Native American Lakota ancestors used a beautiful, beautiful expression, still used in the Lakota language, which is Mitakuye Oyasin, which means, have you heard that ever? Maybe you
have not.
Okay. It means all my relations, meaning that we are all related. It's expressing the interconnectedness of all life. And to me, that's spirituality. So that's why I say, okay, you could look to so many things. If you like, you could look to science and see it's right there as well. It's not foreign.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Lovely. We have, we're coming towards the end of the show, Katherine. It's gone very quickly, but I wondered if we could get a question in. We have a number of callers here, so let me see who would like to ask a question. Hi, welcome to Unlock Your Soul. Would you like to ask a question to Katherine?
Yes, I would. Can you hear me?
I can do.
Hello.
Hello.
I hear you. I'm not sure if I'm coming through.
Yeah,
we hear you.
Can hear you.
Oh, hi. Good. My name is Woble Doe.
Hi. Hi, Woble.
Hi. I'm a friend of Katherine's from New Jersey.
Okay.
And I'd like I'd like to ask Katherine about her experience in Sedona and whether or not she felt the energy of the so-called vortex in that area.
Oh, that's a great question. Yes, indeed, I did. It's a very powerful center there, energetic center in Sedona, and indeed I did. But, there are, of course, other places. I believe that the Hawaiian Islands are considered the heart chakra of the world, and I had a similar experience when I was in Maui, So there are many places that we can go because there are these energy centers everywhere. But yes, indeed, to answer your question, yes, in Sedona. Go there.
I will. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
for calling. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, we can take one more, Katherine. Okay. Hello, and welcome to Unlock Your Soul Radio. Hello.
Hello.
Hello there. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to the show. Do you have a question for Katherine?
Yes, I do.
Fantastic.
I was wondering, how would you separate spirituality from religion and science, or would you put them all together, or would you say that science is spirituality?
Well, spirituality, in my perspective, permeates every single thing. It's everything. It's all inclusive. I think I differentiated it from religion because religion is, I was trying to describe religion as being an institution. So hopefully that answers your question.
Would you say that religion is basically a choice that people have, and spirituality is more of a birthright, like you're born with it?
That's a lovely way of putting it. I love that.
Mm.
It's a birthright. Indeed, it is a birthright. And religion is something that is taught. Yes. And, I don't mean to ever badmouth religion. I don't mean that at all. But clearly, there is not just one way to have a spiritual experience that has to come through an intermediary. There's just not one way to do that. So throughout time, we've always had great teachers, healers, oracles, mystics who serve to guide and instruct people with messages and concepts and explain spiritual phenomena. So I'm not in any way discounting them, but I'm just saying that the essence of spirituality, for me, is connecting to the divine aspect, or the God spark, if you will, that is in each of us. And those others help to guide us there. And if religion helps to get you there, that's fine too. If science helps to get you there, that's fine too. There's not just one way to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So it's
Thank you.
just a choice. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for calling in. Thank you. Okay, Katherine, we have come to the end of the show, and I want to say thank you so much for coming on. It's been a real pleasure, and I can see there are lots of people here who want to ask questions. It looks like we're going to have to do a part 2.
That would be great.
I wanted to say, if anyone is interested, which I'm sure you are, in Katherine, in finding out more about Katherine and her services, please go to starshineinfo.com. Is that the correct website? Okay.
No.
Tell me the website.
Starshine.info.
Okay. Starshine.info.
Yes, that's it.
Not .com. Okay, fantastic. Okay. Lovely. Okay, Katherine, well, thank you so much, and thank you, listeners, for listening. I mean, what I got from the show is that spirituality is a way of life. It is about connecting, and as you said, it is about doing that in whatever vehicle you feel drawn to, but the whole point is connection. Would you agree?
Yes, indeed it is. The final frontier isn't outer space, it's inner space.
Yeah.
It's really exploring our own unique connection. And with everything, with all that is.
Yeah.
All that is.
Yeah. Lovely. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Katherine. Thank you, listeners, for listening. And do tune in again next week, Thursday, 8 p.m. GMT, when we will be speaking to Yvonne Douglas, who is the healing coach. Yvonne is based in the UK, and we will be talking about the issues of addiction. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And goodbye.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Unlock your soul. Free your life. Live your dream. You are listening to Unlock Your Soul Radio with Lorraine White. Every Thursday at 8 p.m. GMT.